vanachari. Yamuna tira vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradari. Yashodanandana Vraja Jana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Radhe. Jaya Radha Shama Sundarada Shama Sundarade. Jai Jai Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Nitya Gaura Haribo 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 Nitya Gaura Haribo. Om Gyantimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayyam Dadati Swapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutaha Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitantam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Pradan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpatarobhyascha Kripa Sindhubheva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Welcome to this special program, PreCartic, just one evening before the Karthik month begins. So we are meditating on this most beautiful month that we are going to celebrate. Most festivals in India, they are 1 day or maximum 9 days. So most festivals, if you see, they just celebrate it for a day. But this month of Karthik is one festival which is celebrated for one whole month. Why is this so special that an entire month is dedicated to one festival? One pastime of Krishna being tied by Mother Yashoda, it's celebrated for a whole month. Because this pastime on a subtle level indicates something else. And this whole idea of Yashoda tying up Krishna is connected with us tying up the Supreme Lord or connecting with the Supreme Lord on a deeper level. So this month of Karthik is a month dedicated to Srimati Radharani. Every month of the year is dedicated to different personalities. Margashirsh is a month of Lord Krishna, which is a month after Karthik. Ideally, the month of Krishna should be more auspicious than the month of Radharani, of Karthik. In fact, the Sri Vaishnavas consider Margashirsh to be a more important month, But the Gaudiya Vaishnavas understand the heart of Krishna. They understand that for Krishna, Radha is always more important than him. And therefore the month of Karthik is given more priority. Also it is a month where the mercy component is much, much more. So today, just to prepare ourselves for the month of Karthik and just to become more conscious and more aware of Krishna in the month of Karthik, I'm going to be sharing some very sweet and very beautiful pastimes of Krishna, which will help us meditate on Krishna throughout the month. So I'm going to be sharing some really sweet pastimes of Krishna that all of you will want to remember for the rest of your lives. And these are pastimes of Krishna that are so much filled with nectar, so much filled with joy, and so much filled with beauty. Krishna is known as Anubha pradan. Anubha pradan means Krishna has come into this world to give us an anubhav or an experience of the spiritual world. So why does Krishna come to this material world? He comes to attract all of us to the spiritual world. Just like if there is a 3-hour movie, which is a costly movie to watch, they release a trailer first, a few months before. And the trailer is only a 3-minute trailer. And to watch the trailer is free. Anybody can watch it. But in that trailer, they put such exciting scenes that person will pay any amount of money to go and watch a full movie. That's exactly what Krishna does. He comes to this material world, and in Vrindavan, he creates a trailer. So all the pastimes of Krishna and Vrindavan are like a small trailer which to attract our hearts to go back to the spiritual world where the full movie is being played. But if you want to watch that full movie, you have to pay a price. And that price is chanting 16 rounds all your life, following regulated principles, doing so much of hard work. All that is a price that you have to pay to watch the movie. And that is why the trailer has to be very powerful. That's why the trailer has to be very, very attractive. And that's what we're going to see today. I have only picked up few scenes from the trailer. The trailer itself is a long trailer, but I have picked up a few stories from the trailer which I'm going to share with you all. And if you like these few stories, you can go and watch the trailer first. And then prepare yourself to actually go and watch the movie. And that's the whole. So I'm kind of giving you a trailer of the trailer. Since we began by talking about Srimati Radharani, so I'll begin with a small story of Radha and Krishna's pastimes. One time, Krishna was in a boat. He disguised himself as a boatman and he was sitting in a boat in Mansi Ganga. So Krishna, he knew that Radha and her friends will come in that direction and they usually cross the Mansi Ganga to go to the other side to sell their butter and all the milk products. So that particular day, Krishna shooed away all the boatmen and he was only boatman available there in that whole area and only one boat available there. And Krishna covered himself with a blanket. This big, thick woolen blankets you get in Vrindavan? He covered himself. Only his eyes were visible. Every other part of his body was covered. And he sat in the boat. The Gopies came, they saw there were no other boats there and there's only one boat with one boatman who is covered in a very weird way. So, Srimati Radharani went to the boatman and she spoke to him. She said, "Will you take us across to the other side?" Now Krishna, the moment Radha spoke to him, he almost lost his balance. He almost gave himself away. But somehow he controlled himself. And in a very hoarse and a heavy voice, he said, "Yes, sit in the boat." So all the Gopis sat in the boat. And Krishna, he began to row the boat. And the boat reached the middle of Mansi Ganga. For those of you who have seen Mansi Ganga is a huge lake in the middle of Govardhan Hill. It's a really big lake. And in those days, it was very, very big. So when they reached the middle of Mansi Ganga, the boat began to shake. Krishna created a disturbance in the Mansi Ganga. And the boat began to shake. And the Gopis really panicked. They didn't know what's happening. So they asked the boatman, "What is happening?" Krishna said, "There is a storm coming. And this boat will not survive because it is too heavy." The Gopis said, "Tell us, what should we do?" Krishna said, "If you all know to swim, jump in, swim and go." The Gopis said, No, we don't know to swim. What else can we do?" Krishna said, "There's only one way to save this boat. That is, if we can make this boat light. Throw all your butter pots and, the pots of milk into the Mansi Ganga. Then the boat will become light." So the Gopis, they wanted to survive. They threw all their pots of butter and milk and yogurt into the Mansi Ganga. The whole lake started becoming white, filled with the ingredients. And then the boat started moving a little bit. And after some time, there was lightning and thunder, and the boat started shaking even more. The Gopi said, "Now what?" Krishna said, "Even now the boat is heavy because you'll have so many jewelry on your body. You throw all your jewelry inside the lake, then the boat will become light." So all the Gopis removed all their gold and ornaments and all, threw it into the Mansi Ganga because they wanted to survive. And then Krishna, he began to row the boat a little more. As the boat got little further, this time there was a whirlwind. The whole boat started turning around like this. And the gopis were going mad. And Radharani somehow, in the process of trying to stay balanced, she fell on Krishna. She fell on this boatman, The moment she fell on the boatman and she touched Krishna, she immediately knew that this is not a boatman. And she pulled out that blanket, and they all the gopis, they realized that Krishna has fooled them so royally. And they started getting really angry and started chastising them. So, Krishna, his pastimes with the Vrajvasis are so unique. Each and every pastime of Krishna is designed only for one purpose. And the purpose is to enhance the love that the Vrajvasis have for Krishna. And each of the pastimes are created in a different rasa, a different type of flavor. And some of them have hasya ras, some of them have madhurya ras, some of them have, bhivatsya ras. So many different rasas involved. And each of these rasas make these pastimes so unique and special. One time, Krishna was in a garden with all his friends in the Vrindavan forest, grazing the cows. And he felt very hungry that day. This was the summer season. Krishna walked up to a mango tree. The moment Krishna walked up and stood under the mango tree started bending down. And all the biggest of mangoes started coming in front of Krishna. Krishna had to just reach out like this, pluck a mango, and he ate. There was one little friend of Krishna whose name was Madhumangal. He was a foodie, loved to eat. And Krishna and Madhumangal saw the mangoes coming down on their own. He was amazed. He has never seen anything like this. And he realized that maybe Krishna has some new trick by which the mangoes come on their own down. So Madhumangal went to Krishna and he asked him, Krishna, how did the mangoes come down? Can you teach me also? Now Krishna realized that this, Madhumangal, we can have a little fun on his cost. Obviously, Krishna is God. For him, anything can happen, isn't it? So Krishna told Madhumangal, there is a mantra that I chant. And when I chant this mantra, the mangoes come down on their own. Madhumangal said, can you teach me also? I am a Brahmana, I know all mantras. I learn fast. Krishna taught him mango mantra, And Madhumangal learned the mango mantra so nicely. And he went under one tree and he began to chant the mango mantra. He chanted very intensely. Nothing happened. So Madhumangal started looking at Krishna. And Krishna was somehow controlling his laughter, Krishna told him, see, you didn't chant properly. You close your eyes and chant nicely. Mango will come for sure, So Madhumangal very intensely closed his eyes and started chanting with folded hands, And he opened his eyes. The mangoes are still not there. Very high up in the air. And Krishna was laughing so much with all his friends at the plight of Madhumangal. Madhumangal went and complained to Balramji. He said, what is this? Krishna is making fun of me. He is not, telling me the way to get the mangoes down. Balaram told him, see, if you want mangoes, that's not the way to get mangoes, by chanting mantras. I'll show you what is the right way of getting mangoes. Balaram went under the tree and shook the whole tree. And all the mangoes from the tree fell down, And some of the mangoes fell on Madhumangal's head also. And Madhumangal picked up all the mangoes, huge number of mangoes, and he went home very happily. Krishna has a very special flavor when he deals with his friends in a very concerned way. So, whenever we have any problem in our lives, we go to doctors, isn't it? Whenever we have a health crisis and all. But in Vrindavan, there is only one doctor. And that is Dr. Kanaya. Krishna is a doctor for all problems in Vrindavan. Anybody has any problem, they go to Krishna only and he solves their problems. Suppose somebody has a headache. They go to Krishna and Krishna presses their head. Imagine, if Krishna presses your head, why will your headache not go? So Krishna has a solution to all problems of the Vrajavasis. In fact, Krishna understands their problems even before they understand it. One time, Krishna was in the forest with his friends. And when Krishna and his friends were playing, invariably in the forest, you'll get hurt, isn't it? Some scratch will happen, some boy will fall, something will happen. And Dr. Kanaya was always alert. Whenever anybody got hurt, he would know it immediately and he would immediately go and deal with it. In fact, not just the Gopas, but even the monkeys in Vrindavan would come to him for treatment. Even the cows, all the animals in Vrindavan would come to Krishna whenever they get hurt. And Krishna would treat them. One time, Krishna saw one boy, his name is Rishabha. He was playing around. And while he was playing around, he got a little scratch on his hand. And Krishna became very concerned. He came running and stopped Rishabha from playing. Now these boys, when they get hurt, they don't really bother. They continue playing in spite of being hurt. But Krishna stopped Rishabha. He said, no, you can't play. You got a hurt. And the funny thing was, the scratch was so small that you can't even see it. But Krishna could see it. Krishna caught him, made him sit down. He said, I'm going to treat you now. And Krishna, he took the hand of Rishabha, kept it on his lap. And he told him, now I'm going to apply ointment. And the interesting thing about Krishna's treatment method is that, for him, whatever he got in his hand was a medicine. If he found cow dung, that was medicine. If he found dust of Vrindavan, that was medicine. If he didn't find anything, he found grass, that was medicine. So in this particular occasion, he found some grass. He picked it up, he crushed it on a stone. He had seen some Ayurvedic doctors do that. So now Ayurvedic doctors, when they do that, they have a particular type of herb or particular type of medicinal plant that they use to make these medicines. But for Krishna, all plants are medicinal plants. He doesn't discriminate. Any plant he gets close to him, he uses that. Crushed it, made a paste out of it, and put it on Rishabha's hand. After putting it on Rishabha's hand, he began to blow on Rishabha's hand. And after about a minute, he asked Rishabh, how are you feeling? Rishabh had no pain only. He never had any problem only in the first place. But Krishna was sure that he is feeling pain. So Krishna asked him, how are you feeling? How are you feeling? Finally, Rishabh says, I'm feeling good. And Krishna says, see, I treated you. And he runs away from there. So that is how Krishna has such loving dealings with his friends. He's so caring for everyone in Vrindavan. The Vrajavasis have a very special flavor of love, and at the same time there is a special flavor of anger towards Krishna simultaneously. Especially the Gopies in whose houses Krishna would steal butter. They loved him and they hated him. They didn't want him to steal in their house, and yet they wanted him to steal in their house. It was like a very strange feeling. And they never understood why they are feeling like that. So if he stole in their house, they would get angry. If he didn't steal, they would get angry. If he came to their house, they would be happy. If he didn't come to their house, they would feel sad. So it was a very strange type of dynamics that they were experiencing. One time, there was one lady, one gopi, in whose house Krishna stole butter. And while Krishna was stealing butter, this lady came in. The moment this gopi came in, Krishna panicked. And this gopi, she caught Krishna and she said, Krishna, I am going to complain to Mother Yashoda. I am going to take you to Mother Yashoda with me. So this gopi, before she could react, Krishna ran away from there. And he knew this gopi is going to come to his house only. So Krishna ran before her and reached his house before her. And Mother Yashoda was doing some work. Krishna went and hid behind Mother Yashoda. And he was, holding her, around her neck. And he was just hanging around her. Yashoda was thinking, why is Krishna, hanging around like this? Then after some time, the gopi came. And that gopi came with so much anger. She said, Yashoda, your Kanaya, your Krishna has stolen butter from my house. And she was like really, really angry. As she was expressing her anger, with like, her face was like really, really angry. Suddenly she started laughing. And she started laughing like mad. Yashoda was thinking, what's wrong with her? She just came with so much anger. Why is she laughing? Then again somehow she controlled herself. And again she became angry. And she started telling all bad things about Krishna. And the next moment she again started laughing. And this time she was laughing hysterically. Yashoda was thinking, what's wrong with her? She's angry, laughing. And then after some time this gopi gave up and went away from there. So Yashoda was confused. What just happened? She didn't realize that behind her, Krishna was doing something. So what Krishna was doing was, he was standing behind her and making all kind of faces at that gopi, And he was making such funny faces that the gopi was not able to control her laughter only. So he was not allowing her to be angry, basically. And he was really, really messing up with her. After some time, the gopi realized, I can't get angry. He just walked away from there. So Yashoda called Krishna in the front. And Krishna was very innocent, as if he didn't do anything, just like very, very innocent. So Yashoda asked him, what's wrong with her? Why is she behaving like this? Krishna said, because she is a batanga. Now Yashoda had never heard that word in her life. She asked her, what is the meaning of batanga? He said, she is the sister of Matanga. Yashoda was thinking, who is Matanga? Krishna ran away from there after saying that, He just made up two words. Batanga and Matanga. These words didn't exist only. Just to confuse her, he made up some words and he just ran away from there. This is Krishna. Krishna has a way of attracting hearts. He has a way of creating humor. He has a way of dealing with all his people. And every day with Krishna is exciting. Every day with Krishna is so unique and so interesting. One time, Krishna went at 6 o'clock in the morning to one gopi's house. He knocked on the door of this gopi. And this gopi opened the door of the house. And she saw outside her house was Krishna standing early in the morning. Now imagine, if early in the morning your house gets knocked and Krishna standing outside, how you'd feel. And Krishna was so sleepy, he just woke up from his sleep and he came there. And this gopi was thrilled. She asked Krishna, Krishna, what happened? Why have you come so early in the morning? Krishna tells her, my mother Yashoda has sent me to you. Because in our house, we have some special guests coming. We have some really powerful sadhus coming to visit us. And my mother told me to get butter from your house. Because your house, you make the best butter. So this gopi was flattered, totally flattered. Because Mother Yashoda has 900,000 cows. And she's sending Krishna to her house to, she was like really happy. She went in and got 2 pots of butter. And she told Krishna, take this and give it to Mother Yashoda. And tell her, this is from my side for the guests. And in addition to the pots of butter, she gave Krishna one big packet of mishri, sugar balls. And she told Krishna, when you feed the guests, you can put these sugar balls in the butter, they will love it. So Krishna took the packet of sugar balls and took the 2 pots of butter and he turned around to go back. As soon as Krishna turned around to go back, this gopi closed the door. As soon as this gopi closed the door, Krishna sat down outside her house only with the 2 pots of butter. And immediately all the friends of Krishna, they were hiding in all directions, they jumped out. And they came and they told Krishna, why are you sitting here? We just stole from this house, how can you sit here only? Krishna said, when you steal from somebody's house, it is biggest fun to sit outside the house and eat it. And all these boys sat in a big circle over there outside the house and they began to eat. And imagine, the guts of these boys. So this Gopi inside, she didn't understand, she didn't know what is happening outside. But after some time, she heard cracking of teeth. You know, when you bite sugar balls, there is a sound that comes, like cracking sound. And she heard, so she thought there was a group of monkeys outside, creating some nuisance. She opened the door and she saw Krishna here with all his friends sitting and eating butter. She got wild. She said, Krishna, you stole butter from my house. And she said, you said you're giving this butter to the sadhus and you're feeding these stupid boys. And she was really, really angry. And Krishna got up and he was even more angry. He said, how dare you call my friends stupid boys? They are not stupid. They are great sadhus. And the interesting thing was, one of those boys, he was a very, very small boy. He was about 2-3 years old. And he was completely naked. Not a single cloth on his body. And he didn't even realize they are caught. He was still eating there. So Krishna points out to that boy and he tells, see, this is a Naga Baba. He's come from Himalayas, And he tells the Gopi, you shouldn't call them stupid, you should actually pay obeisances to them. Do dandavats to all of them, And this Gopi lost it. She said, I will do dandavat, but first let me get a danda. And I will beat all of them, and do dandavats. And before the Gopi came, all these boys ran away from there. There was a little boy whose name was Subhvilas. And this boy loved Krishna too much. He had a very strong desire to always be with Krishna. But these boys, their problem was that when they would come back from grazing the cows, after spending the whole day with Krishna, after they would come back home, they would miss Krishna a lot. They would miss him so badly. So this particular boy, Subal, one day, he was crying too much. He was crying and crying and crying because he was missing Krishna so much. So his mother, she didn't know how to pacify him. She brought him to Nanda Bhavan, to Mother Yashoda. She told him, look at this fellow. He's crying like anything. He wants to be with Krishna. How do I pacify him? Mother Yashoda understood the whole situation. And she understood that this boy can't be pacified like that. So Mother Yashoda, she called Chitra Sakhi. Chitra Sakhi was one of Radharani's friends. She was an expert painter. She called Chitra Sakhi and told Chitra Sakhi, sit here and make a painting of Krishna. So Chitra Sakhi was really expert in painting, so she made Krishna sit in one place and she began to draw Krishna. But it is impossible to make Krishna sit in one place. He is running around here and there, So imagine if you're drawing a portrait of someone and that person is not posing only, He's just running here and there. So Chitra Sakhi was very confused. How do I draw when he is not sitting in one place? And then finally she understood there's only one way to make Krishna stable. And Chitra Sakhi closed her eyes and started remembering Radharani. The moment she remembered Radha, Krishna became very stable. Krishna became very peaceful. And Chitra Sakhi could draw a beautiful painting of Krishna. She made that painting and gave it to Mother Yashoda. And Mother Yashoda gave it to this boy, Subal. And this boy was so happy seeing that painting because the painting looked exactly like Krishna. So from that day onwards, whenever Subal slept in the night, he hugged that painting and slept. And from that day, he never cried because he felt he had Krishna. The boys of Vrindavan, they have a very special, unique flavor with Krishna. They don't look at him as God. For them, Krishna is their friend. And Krishna is their accomplice in all the naughty things they do together. One time, there's a place in Govardhan which is known as Sankrikor. It's a small stretch of land. It's like on the edge of the hill. And it's so narrow that only one person can walk in Sankrikor at a time. So the Gopis of Vrindavan, they would pass by that Sankrikor to go and sell their butter and all. So Krishna and his friends, they would use that spot as their favorite spot to trouble the Gopis. they would all be hiding around that spot. And the moment the gopis would enter in the Sakri Kaur, they would surround them from all directions. Now the gopis had nowhere to go. They couldn't go back, they couldn't go ahead, they were stuck over there. And Krishna and his friends, they could do anything now with them. So one day, the gopis, headed by Radharani, they were walking by in that area with pots in their head. And they had so many pots in their head. So Krishna and his friends, they were hiding behind all trees. And as the gopis were walking by, suddenly stones started flying. And the stones were hitting the pots. The milk was flowing out, the butter was flowing out, the curd was flowing out. And the gopis had no idea where these stones were coming from. And suddenly Krishna and his friends jumped out and they broke all the pots and ran away from there. So Radharani was furious. She was really, really furious. She decided the next day we'll teach Krishna a big lesson. So the next day, the gopis, they planned something massive. What they did was, they reached much earlier than Krishna. And they hid behind so many trees. There were not just 5, 6 of them. There were thousands of them. And they spread themselves across that whole area. Behind every tree there was one gopi hiding. And then Krishna came with 4, 5 of his friends. And he thought, again they will do the same thing. They hid behind their normal trees wherever they hide. And they started waiting for the gopis to come. And exactly as planned, 4, 5 gopis came. And Krishna was about to throw the stones. Suddenly thousands of gopis came out from all directions. These boys panicked so badly that all those 4, 5 boys that came with Krishna ran away from there, leaving Krishna alone. Now Krishna was trapped. And he realized he is in big trouble. Because one Krishna and thousands of gopis around him. Women power. And Krishna began to tremble. He didn't know what to do. The gopis, headed by Srimati Radharani, they told Krishna, Krishna, now you are our captive. You have to do whatever we say. So Krishna became very submissive. He said, yes, I'll do whatever you say. First, they gave him a gopi dress. They told him, you wear this. Krishna is saying, how can I wear? No, he said, no, you have to wear. And that too, they made him wear ulta. The part that goes up, they made him wear below, and the part that goes below, they made him wear on top. Krishna was feeling so embarrassed. He was feeling really, really embarrassed wearing the gopi dress. And then Radharani told him, now hold a pot on your head. They kept a pot of milk on his head. And all of them broke the pot of milk together. And the whole milk was flowing all over Krishna. Then they put a pot of butter, and they broke the pot of butter. Then they put a pot of yogurt, they broke the pot of yogurt. Like this, they started keeping one pot and breaking, because so many times Krishna had broken their pots and troubled them like this. And Krishna was feeling so embarrassed. But of course, the Acharyas explained, this was their way of doing Abhishek of Krishna. So they're actually doing Abhishek of Krishna, but in a very troublesome way. This is the flavor of Vraja. So there is fight also going on, there is love also going on, So sometimes when you go to Vrindavan, you don't realize, there are people who seem to be very, very aggressive and very, very, in a fighting mood. Don't worry, that is their love. That is how they love, basically. One time, Krishna was with all his friends and they were stealing in one gopi's house. And I'm kind of giving you all flavors of Madhurya Ras and Sakhya Ras alternately. So Krishna and his friends, they were stealing in one gopi's house. So Krishna and his friends were very agile and they were very fast. They were thieves, so they have to be very, very good in their profession, isn't it? So they had become expert by this time, like they knew exactly how to steal and how to get out. So there was one particular gopi whose house they decided to steal, and they decided to enter through the windows. And they saw that there's one particular window which was really good for entering and exiting. So all the boys jumped in through the window, and they removed the butter and they began to eat like anything. So they were really happy and excited, eating all the butter, and at some point, the gopi opened the door. And the moment the gopi opened the door, all these boys started running out, jumping out of the window, one after another. They were like little monkeys, this full speed. And there was this Madhumangal, he had a plan. So he thought, anyway, one person has to go last. Let me go last. I'll continue eating till then. So let all the boys go ahead first, one by one. And just before the gopis reach me, I will jump out. That was his plan. So he gets to eat maximum amount of butter, So he's eating and eating and eating quickly. And then it was really late. The boys told him, Madhumangal, run now. You will be in trouble. And then Madhumangal realized, now I have to run. So he ran. Jumped out of the window. So when he went into the window, he was very thin. But because he ate so much, he became a little fat, And somehow his belly got stuck in the window. His head and face and, hands and all came out. And his stomach got stuck. And now, Madhumangal was in big trouble. The gopis caught his legs from behind, And Krishna and his friends caught his hands from ahead. So Madhumangal said, please save me, save me. So Krishna is pulling him out. And the gopis are pulling him in. And he was in so much pain and agony. He didn't know what to do. He finally said, let me go. And Krishna left him. And this fellow fell inside the house. The gopis beat him black and blue. They really beat him up like anything. With all the anger of all the boys, they removed on this fellow, So after he got beaten up like anything, he came out. And he told Krishna, Krishna, what is this? I am your friend and you allowed me to get beaten like this. This is not right. So Krishna walked up to the gopis and he told them, you have no idea what you all have done. You all have beaten up a Brahmana. And because you all have beaten up such a Brahmana who has so much Brahma Tejas, all of you will have husbands who are very cruel. They will beat you up. And you'll have husbands who are very ugly. So the gopis got scared. They said, no, we want good husbands. We don't want husbands who are cruel. The Krishna said, there's only one way you'll have good husbands. If you can make Madhumangal happy, he will bless you. So all the gopis went to Madhumangal. They put him on a throne. And they gave him huge plate of laddus. And Madhumangal eating laddus with both his hands and blessing them. And that's how Krishna managed to pacify Madhumangal also. One time, Radha was very upset with Krishna because Krishna reached late to meet her. And she just was not interested in talking to him. She was not ready to talk to him at all. So these pastimes are from 5,000 years before, And Krishna had no idea how to pacify her. He tried so much to pacify her, but she's just not ready to listen. And Krishna realized that he needs to do something different to pacify her. So Krishna removed his flute and began to play his flute. And as soon as Krishna played his flute, one peacock came out from inside the forest and stood in front of Radha and Krishna and began to dance with its, feathers spread. It was dancing so beautifully. And Krishna was seeing that Radha is looking at that peacock. And he realized that this might be the trick that will pacify Radha. So he began to play even more enthusiastically. One more peacock came and began to dance. And soon a third peacock came. Soon a fourth peacock came. Soon hundreds of peacocks came and stood all around Radha and Krishna, dancing like anything. And at some point, Krishna, he took the form of a peacock and he began to dance. And Radharani, seeing Krishna now take the form of a peacock, she couldn't control herself. She transformed herself into a peahen and she began to dance. And then the dancing of Radha and Krishna and all these peacocks continued for hours and hours and hours together. And finally, when the dancing reached its crescendo and it stopped, the king of the peacocks came to Krishna And he told Krishna, Krishna, because you gave us so much pleasure and opportunity to serve you, we want to give you something in return. And the peacocks offered Krishna 5 peacock feathers as a token of gratitude for what Krishna did for them. And Krishna took those peacock feathers and put it on his head. And by this time, Radharani was already peaceful and she had forgotten her man, and that's how Radha and Krishna got united together. I'm going to tell you a story about how Krishna discovered that he can be a thief. This is the original story of how he became a butter thief, how he got confidence of stealing butter. This story happens when Krishna was about 2 years old, and he had not even begun walking properly. So he was crawling around his house, and one day he happened to come across the storeroom where Mother Yashoda kept all the pots of butter and milk and all. And Krishna was so thrilled on discovering the storeroom. He crawled into the storeroom and he caught one pot of butter, put his hand inside the pot of butter, and began to eat like anything. He was so happy with the taste of butter. And when Krishna was eating this butter with so much joy and pleasure, his eyes were closed. Suddenly, his hand was caught. And Krishna opened his eyes and he saw his mother was there. He got really scared. First time when you do something wrong and you get caught, it's a very tough thing, isn't it? It's like really scary thing, So Krishna was he was trembling. He didn't know what to do. So Mother Yashoda asked him, Krishna, what are you doing here? Why is your hand inside the pot of butter? Krishna began to think very, very quickly. And very fast he came up with an idea. He said, Maiya, you put a diamond bracelet on my hand, and it is so hot, it is burning my hand. I put my hand inside this pot of butter to cool my hand. Now Mother Yashoda really got concerned about him, because she thought it was really burning his hand. Nowadays when people wear Apple watches, they feel like that, little burning in the hand. So Krishna removed that, Mother Yashoda removed his hand and she began to touch it and see if there was any burning sensation, It was completely normal. It is nothing wrong in it. So Yashoda asked him, she was looking at Krishna, she said, if your hand is burning, and that's why you put your hand inside the pot of butter, what is butter doing around your mouth? All over his mouth there was butter, Krishna realized again he'll be caught. Again he started thinking very quickly. And he said, oh, that. When I was putting my hand inside this pot of butter, there was an ant roaming around my face. So I did this just to remove the ant, And Mother Yashoda had no idea. She didn't know whether to believe it or not believe it. It sounded so unreasonable, but she didn't want to not believe him. So she anyway picked up her little baby and she took him out. And Krishna breathed a sigh of relief. But that day he realized, this is a good career for me. And he was thinking that I am really good at it, And that's how he decided to embark on this journey of becoming a butter thief, One time, there was a hunter who was hunting in the forests in the Himalayan jungles. So once there was a hunter who was hunting and, in the forests of the Himalayas. So while he was in the forest of the Himalayas, he found trapped in his cage was a huge bird. And this was not an ordinary bird. This is a very special bird. It had so many colors. The number of colors that were there in that bird were unlimited. It was, the peacock would look pale in front of this bird. It was that many colors were there in this bird. And when this bird was caught in this cage, the hunter thought that I am going to sell this bird and make huge amount of money. But then he thought, this bird is so colorful, maybe selling may not be a good idea. He decided to use this bird and teach the bird some tricks. So he taught the bird a few tricks, and he started taking the bird around in different villages. He had tied a rope around the leg of the bird, and he held that rope with a stick. And he would go to different villages and do bird shows. And hundreds of kids would gather around and watch this bird perform. And everyone was amazed by the quality of the colors and the form of this bird. And the best part was, this bird was a talking bird. Any language you spoke, this bird could speak in that language with you. So this hunter, one time, as he was traveling around different places, he reached Vrindavan. And he reached the village of Vrindavan and he began to do this bird show. Hundreds of little boys began to gather around watching this fascinating bird perform. So he removed the bird from the cage and the bird would roam, fly with his wings spread, and all the boys would shout and they were really happy and thrilled. And as this bird show was happening, Nanda Maharaj happened to come by. He sat and he was watching this bird show. And as the show was at its crescendo, Krishna came running out of his house. And he weaved in through the big crowd and he came and sat on Nanda's lap. And he was watching this bird. And this bird became so happy seeing Krishna. And he began to do some extra tricks that the hunter had not even taught him. And Krishna became so happy with the tricks of this bird and looking at this beautiful bird. Krishna told his father, I want this bird. And Nanda Maharaj immediately told his men to get some wealth. So somebody from inside Nanda Bhavan got a big basket filled with gold and all kinds of diamonds and all. And Nanda Maharaj offered that basket to this hunter. And he said, give me this bird. The hunter, when he saw this basket was filled with so many jewels, he realized this bird is priceless. I should not sell it for so cheap. The hunter said, no, this bird will not survive here. It only can survive in the Himalayan jungles. The bird spoke up and he said, I will live here. The hunter had no option, so he handed over the thread and the bird to Nanda Maharaj. Krishna immediately said, why is this bird tied up? In fact, no one had seen the thread because the thread was a transparent thread. And only the hunter knew that there was a thread, and the bird obviously knew there was a thread. And no one else saw the thread except Krishna. Krishna said, remove the thread, release the bird. The hunter said, no, don't remove the thread, this bird will fly away. The bird said, no, I will not fly. I will stay here only. And they opened the thread, and the bird came and sat on the shoulders of Krishna. So Krishna began to talk to the bird. And Krishna told the bird, I will feed you rotis. The hunter said, no, this is a bird from Himalayas. He doesn't eat rotis. He only eats dry fruits and special fruits. The bird said, no, I'll eat rotis. I'll eat anything he gives me. And Krishna started feeding this bird Vraj rotis. And then Krishna, he asked this bird, where is your family? The bird actually started crying. First time somebody was concerned about his family and his happiness. Krishna told this bird, you go and get your family and I will feed all of them rotis. And Krishna released the bird. This bird flew all the way back to Himalayas and brought his whole family back to Vrindavan. And the entire family of these Himalayan birds, they began to stay in Vrindavan forever from that point onwards. And Krishna took care of all of them. This is Krishna. He is so concerned about all of us. He is so concerned about every living entity in this world. He is so caring for every living entity in this world. And that care manifests in so many amazing ways. I'm going to tell two more stories. Very sweet and very special stories. These are some of my favorite stories. One time, when Krishna returned from the grazing of the cows, he came with all his friends home. So Krishna comes back home with his friends and he randomly gets anybody. Sometimes he gets 5 people, sometimes he gets 10, no count only. So imagine Mother Yashoda, she has to be prepared for anything basically. So one day, Krishna came with a group of his friends and Mother Yashoda began to feed Krishna and his friends something sweet. So she gave all of them a bowl filled with hot rice and hot milk and mixed with sugar. This is not sweet rice. It is just all ingredients separately, just mixed together. And Krishna and his friends began to eat all that. And as they were eating, they were discussing about the day, what they did and all the adventures they had. And the boys were so animated and so excited that the milk was dripping all over their bodies, I mean, it was like a total mess. But they were just so enthusiastic. And while they were discussing, one friend told Krishna, one little boy told Krishna, Krishna, do you know Pavitra is about to give birth to a baby? Pavitra is one of the cows in Nanda Bhavan. Krishna was amazed. He said, what? Pavitra is going to give birth to a baby. Krishna didn't even know this. And he was amazed that this boy knows something that he doesn't know. So he asked this boy, how do you know? This boy with great pride, imagine, he knows something that Krishna doesn't know. With great pride he says, my mother told me. And just then, as these boys were discussing this, just then, one servant came with more milk and all. The servant overheard these boys speaking and he said, Pavitra has already given birth to a baby. Immediately all the boys stopped eating, they just got up and ran away to the Goshala. And Mother Yashoda was very upset with that servant. So all the boys ran to the Goshala to see Pavitra with her baby calf, just given birth. And it was such a beautiful scene. This beautiful white cow was licking her calf. And this calf was so exhausted, just, taken birth. And this calf was just trying to open its eyes and trying to stand up. And Krishna was so happy looking at this cow and her baby. So Krishna went and stood next to them. The moment Krishna came there, the mother, Pavitra, stopped looking at her baby and licking her. She turned towards Krishna and started licking him. And the baby calf, who was just born, he stopped looking at his mother and he also was looking at Krishna. And Krishna was feeling, strange. I mean, imagine, usually a mother that has just given birth to a baby, she can't look at anything else other than the baby. But both of them are helplessly looking at Krishna. And Krishna turns both their faces towards each other. This is the beauty of Krishna consciousness. So when you turn towards Krishna, Krishna turns you back towards your family. So it is not that Krishna disconnects you from your family. Krishna brings you back towards the people in your life. And this little baby calf, he was trying to stand up. Krishna put his hand down and he picked up the calf and helped him stand up. If Krishna helps you stand, imagine, what a fortune, isn't it? And the baby calf stood up very quickly. And Krishna was patting the baby calf. Such a beautiful connection that Krishna has with all the devotees, isn't it? Whether it is animals, whether it is human beings, whether it is older people, whether it is younger people, with everyone he has such a beautiful connection. This is what makes Krishna very special. Now I'm going to tell you all the last story for the day. And this is the most beautiful. I love this story and it's such a special story. One time, Krishna was celebrating his birthday, Janmashtami. And all the friends of Krishna, they were invited to be a part of the celebrations. And all the boys, they came to Krishna and they began to give him different gifts. And they gave him little tiny gifts, not something special, not something great, just little tiny gifts. One boy came to Krishna and gave him a 3-colored flower. It's a small tiny flower. Krishna saw the 3-colored flower, he became so happy. He started running around and showing everyone, see what this boy has given me. Showing this little flower to everybody. And another boy came to Krishna and he said, Krishna, see what I've got for you. And in his hand, he had a cow dung paste. I took the cow dung paste and put a little tilak on Krishna's forehead. And Krishna was so happy receiving the tilak from this boy. He ran around saying, see what Bhadra has given me. He's showing everybody in the room the little tilak that this boy gave him. So like this, all the boys, the friends of Krishna, gave him little gifts. And Krishna was so happy receiving these gifts. Finally, Krishna wanted to give them back some return gifts. So he went to his mother and father and he said, can I have something to give my friends as return gifts? So Nanda and Mother Yashoda, they have been preparing for this day for an entire year. And they're waiting for this special day when they can collect these gifts for Krishna to give it to his friends. They have shawl from the north, very beautiful, costly shawl. They have a conch from the deepest oceans. They have a huge diamond that they have sourced from the mountains. So like this, they have very, very unique and special gifts. Krishna looks at the whole collection of all these gifts. And he says, no, none of them are nice gifts. He's comparing what his friends gave him, the little gifts, with these costly gifts, and he finds they are nothing in comparison to what his friends gave him. And he starts crying like anything. Now, Nanda and Yashoda are not able to pacify Krishna. He's crying so much. And they are wondering how to make him peaceful. How to kind of, help him become happy again. Balramji comes to their rescue. Balramji comes to Krishna and tells him, Krishna, what do you have that your friends don't have? And Balram asks Krishna a question. What do you have that your friends don't have? So Krishna begins to think for some time. And suddenly he gets it. He says, now I know. He runs to his friend, jumps on his friend, hugs him, and he says, Bhadra, I am yours. Then he runs to the next friend, he hugs him, he says, Toke, I am yours. And he goes to all his friends, hugs them, and he gives himself only to them. So what is that Krishna has which his friends don't have? Himself. And what does Krishna give? He gives himself only. What a beautiful person Krishna is, isn't it? When we give a little gift to Krishna, maybe a little flower, maybe a little fruit, maybe a little food, but what Krishna gives us back in return, he gives himself. And for someone who gets Krishna, he has the whole universe, isn't it? He has everything with him. So this, I feel, is a very beautiful meditation for the month of Karthik. We are celebrating such an auspicious and such an amazing month. And as a preparation for this month, I'll give you all one little meditation, which I just recently heard. It was spoken by one acharya. Very, very sweet. And I felt when I heard this, I was so amazed. This is a little meditation on the holy name, the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So we all chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra on a daily basis. So this great devotee, in his realization, he says, the Hare Krishna Mahamantra is a loving conversation between Radha and Krishna. Radha and Krishna are having a conversation with each other. And so they met for a long period of time and they are about to part. And while they're just about to part, they kind of are calling each other's names. Hare is the name of Radha. So Krishna calls Radha as Hare. And Radha calls Krishna sometimes as Krishna. And sometimes she calls Krishna as Ram, very lovingly. Ram means the one who gives pleasure to Radha. So this is a conversation. So Krishna is saying Hare, Radha is saying Krishna. Krishna is saying Hare, Radha is saying Krishna. Krishna is saying Hare, Hare, Radha is saying Krishna, Krishna. Krishna is saying Hare, Radha is saying Ram. Krishna is saying Hare, Radha is saying Ram. And Krishna is saying Hare, Hare, Radha is saying Ram, Ram. What a beautiful conversation, isn't it? So while we are chanting the holy names of the Lord, you can just imagine this as another beautiful meditation on the holy names of the Lord. So let us all in this month of Karthik absorb ourselves very intensely, absorb ourselves in the right mood and the right consciousness, and try our best to take really intense benefit of this month. You know, we are all used to discounts and sales, isn't it? Usually a lot of sales and discounts come during the month of Diwali, Dashera, this festival season basically, So the original person who began these discounts and sales was Krishna. And in this month of Karthik, this is big discounts in our spiritual lives. So if you chant the holy names of Krishna in this month of Karthik, and if you take shelter of the holy names of Krishna in this month of Karthik, you get the benefit of millions of times more than in any other month. So let us take advantage of this most auspicious month of Karthik and try our best to chant more rounds, to read more, to absorb ourselves more, so that we can really get connected with Krishna and purify ourselves through this process. Before I end, I just want to quickly give you all an introduction to some of my books. I've written close to about 40 books now. I just thought, many times when I go to places and I give lectures and my books are displayed, people don't know what is there in these books. So they just get completely confused. So what I have started doing is, I'm just giving a little 2-minute introduction to all my books so that you know what is there in each book. So this is my magnum opus. It's called Ramayana, the Game of Life. It's a 6-volume series which has the entire Ramayana in a story form. So this, the way I have written this series is that Valmiki Ramayana is the base, but in that we have analogies and poetic expressions from Kamba and Tulsidas' Ramayana. In addition to that, commentaries of great acharyas. In addition to that, there are backstories from so many Puranic sources and folk tales that make the story of Ramayana even more exciting and enhanced. And in addition to all this, there are life lessons that you can apply in your life. So I would highly recommend every one of you to have this entire set of the Ramayana series. It's 6 volumes, and every kand of the Ramayana is in 1 volume. And it's an amazing series, and especially youngsters, they tend to love this series. This book is a very interesting book. It's a book on stories of Lord Ganesh. So all of us, we know Ganesh so much, but how many of us really know about Lord Ganesh, So Ganesh Chaturthi is one of the most celebrated festivals of the world, but most people don't know more than 1 or 2 stories of Lord Ganesh. This book is a collection of 50 stories of Lord Ganesh. Whatever I spoke today is from this book. It's called the Little Blue Book on Krishna. This book has 35 such stories, all unheard stories from Vrindavan, stories that will make you fall in love with Krishna, it will make you laugh, it will make you cry, it will make you full of rasa. Yes, that's the right word. This book is a book on Hanuman Chalisa. Every word of Hanuman Chalisa explained through a story of Hanumanji. So all of us have been chanting Hanuman Chalisa, but how many of us know the meaning of Hanuman Chalisa? Every single word explained through a story of Hanumanji. That's what this book is. This book went on to become a #1 bestseller on Amazon for months together. It was the most gifted book on Amazon in India for months together. This book is a book called Perfect Love. The tagline says 5.5 ways to lasting relationships. This book has 6 love stories from our scriptures. Each love story talks about how people fall in love, but more importantly, how they stay in love for life. In today's world, which is a world of love at first sight and divorce at first fight, very good book and very important book to have, Here is a book called Chronicles of Hanuman. This book has about 100 stories of Hanumanji that you will love. Yeah. So this is a book called Plug into Happiness. For those who are in the corporate world, this is a very useful book. This book talks about work-life balance and also how to find workspace happiness. This book, Mystical Tales to a Magic Life, this is my answer to Harry Potter. If any of your kids have been reading Harry Potter, you should give them this book. This book has 11 unheard stories from our scriptures. I call these as crazy stories. Each story is adventurous, mystical, very, very interesting. But each of them have lessons that you can learn from your life. This book is a book called Open-Eyed Meditations. This is my favorite book. This is one of the best books I have written. This book has 64 chapters. Each chapter talks about one aspect of life seen through the lens of Ramayana and Mahabharata. And this book is a guidebook for anyone who needs to understand any aspect of life with answers, solutions from Ramayana and Mahabharata. This is a book that you must have. These are two books which are called Stories from India. So this book is called Timeless Tales to Ignite the Mind. This book has 50 stories which are folk tales, Tenali Raman, Vikram Betal, etc. Again with life lessons. And this book has 50 stories from Indian epics, again with life lessons. These are very, very beautiful stories to have. The last two books here, this is a book called Magic of Friendship. I've written this book for teenagers. This is a book that will help youngsters understand how to make deep relationships and how to make meaningful friendships. And finally, this book I would like to introduce you all is a book on Lord Shiva. This is one of my latest books. This has so many stories on Lord Shiva. And it's an amazing collection of stories. It explains stories from so many of the Puranas. It talks about the stories of all the Jyotirlings, etc. In addition to all these books, I have many books which are for children. And these are some of the most amazing books which are fully illustrated. My suggestion to all of you all is that please go and explore all these books on the table there. And you can place your orders. The Vikidananda will get the books for you all. And my suggestion to all of you all is that you must have a collection of all these books. These are books that are very, very child-friendly. These are books that are very, very teenage-friendly. They work for any age group. So please have a collection of these books in your house. It will encourage youngsters to read. Of course, it will give you a whole bank of stories that you can tell people. So with this, I'll come to a conclusion. Thank you very much for being here, and very grateful to all of you for your patient listening. And I'm wishing all of you a very happy Karthik month. Hare Krishna. Anybody has any questions or comments before we end? Any quick questions or comments? Yes, sir.
Thank you, Prabhu. That was amazing. That was amazing, Prabhu. Prabhu, my question is, you started the class saying that, the trailer, you gave the analogy of a trailer and the movie. So I'm trying to understand that Krishna is infinite. So even a dot of Krishna is also the rasa or the joy is unlimited. So how do we understand that here it is only, this is unlimited? So does it mean that in spiritual world it is unlimited times infinity?
Yes, absolutely. You're right. This itself is unlimited, so that is much more than unlimited. Absolutely, you're right.
Thank you.
Hari Hari.
It's a wonderful evening. Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you for that.
Anyone else would like to say anything, ask anything? Hare Krishna. Thank you very much.
Such a pleasure, feeling divine mercy of Srila Prabhupada and our Radha Shyam Sundarji, that they have arranged Subhvilas Prabhu to come just day before the Karthik. Krishna has, just Prabhuji was saying, Krishna has his tricky ways to enlighten us and give us love and bhakti. So this is the one of the trick he played with us, that just on, it happened to, fall on this day that Subhvilas Prabhu has come. I would personally recommend many of the books I have personally read. I actually developed so much taste for Ram Katha, for Hanumanji, by reading his books, by listening to his classes. He's one of my dear Shiksha Guru, my guide, my mentor, my dear friend. So I'm really, really blessed. There is a wonderful biography of his. You can see how he has done law degree. But it's really his mood to distribute the lessons from Ram Katha, lessons from Krishna Katha, especially to the younger generation. When I joined ISKCON back in '92, and for next 15 years, I was always thinking there's so many books, but there's nothing much available for children. In like good variety. Maybe there are 1 or 2 books or something. But he has flooded our ISKCON, and outside he has connection. Even if you go to the airports in India, Delhi, Bombay airports, you will see his books selling in the bookstores in the airports. So he has developed a network to reach out millions of other people outside of devotee circle, which is very pleasing to our hearts. He was telling me in the car, he has very special plans going next year, how he wants to mentor 120 people in a year. He wants to cut down his travel. So we may not see him much travel-wise, but he wants to hand-pick 120 people every year and then coach them. That's a wonderful project. Thank you so much, Subhvilas Prabhu. Whenever you come to US, please consider this as your home.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. I would like to thank you on behalf of Rumpa Swami as well. When he was last visiting, he was praising your books and you a lot. He was referring you, so thank you for all your help to us. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much. We'll have prasad, but before you leave, please at least take a look at all the books. If you don't want to take home today, we don't have many copies. We have very limited stock.